Recording in progress.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and all those joining us on the official U.S. Soccer app. We are here to preview USA-Canada, presented by Volkswagen. Match kicking off Sunday, September 5th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, live on FS1, Unimas, and Today NA. Today we'll be joined by U.S. men's national team defender John Brooks and head coach Gregg Berhalter. For those of you in the media who are joining us and would like to ask a question, you may get in the queue by virtually raising your hand right now.
What about this here? Should I got it? Interesting game. I'm very excited to play this match tomorrow. It's a good opponent. Yeah, got to be interesting.
We will begin with Jeff Carlisle from ESPN.
Thank you, Michael. Hey, John. Just curious, how many times have you and Alfonso Davies squared off in the Bundesliga? Not so much maybe just playing against Bayern, but how often have you found yourselves in the same part of the field where you've kind of been one-on-one?
To be honest, I can't think of one situation. I play left center back, he plays left wing. It's not that often. So can't remember one time.
Next, we'll go to Paul Tenorio from The Athletic.
Thanks, Michael, and thanks, John. Though you haven't matched up one-on-one with Alfonso, how much do you get motivated when you look across as a defensive line and you see players like Alfonso? Kyle Larin has scored a lot for Besiktas and for the national team. Jonathan David scoring a lot in Europe as well. Do you get some personal individual motivation to win those battles, to win those duels against those types of players? Thank you.
Not like a special motivation, but of course, you know the guys you face, or I face tomorrow, and I know the quality of the players, and of course I know I have to be on point, and yeah, can't wait.
Next will be Jonathan Tannenwald from the Philadelphia Inquirer.
Thank you, Michael.
No picture?
John, we know there's a lot of rotation going on with the team over these 3 days and the 3 games in a short amount of time. What's it like for you being one of those players in the middle of that? And also, we've heard a lot over the last couple of days about the guys who were playing a CONCACAF road game for the first time. And I wonder if you were one of the players who might have said a few words to them about what it's like. Thanks.
Yeah, for me, I knew from the beginning that I'm one of the players who might start the second game and not play the first game. That's what the coach told me from the beginning, and I knew I have to support the guys from the bench up, and that was totally fine with me. We have good players on the roster, so it's totally okay. And for me, these games, of course, you can tell them, you give them advice and tell them a lot about these games, but for me, you have to play these games to understand how it is to play these games. So I think now that a lot of players got their first match in, I think now they understand what the coach or maybe I tell them before the game.
Next will be Ron Blum from the Associated Press.
Hey, John.
Hello.
How do you view playing against Canada as a different tactical challenge than playing against El Salvador?
I think every game is different. El Salvador has different players, plays a different tactic. I think Canada, because a lot of players also play in Europe, is maybe similar to us. Yeah, it's every time a challenge, and yeah.
Next will be Daniel Nora from Univision.
Hi, John.
Hello.
I just want to ask you, you faced Canada during the Gold Cup. I'm wondering if you got the chance to watch that game and to get a lesson from that game. And considering what they brought with Davies and Buchanan and their speed, how important do you think it's to have solid defensive fullbacks for tomorrow's game, particularly?
I think it's not only the fullbacks that are important. I think the whole team has to work hard tomorrow, help each other, be there for each other to stop these guys too. It's not particular the fullbacks. And yeah, that's basically it.
Next will be Ivis Galarcep from SBI Soccer.
John, obviously you're usually on the field and not on the bench for these kind of games, but as you're sitting there watching the game on Thursday, what did you feel like was missing from the team on Thursday? And what do you think needs to get better to make sure that you get the 3 points against the Canada team that you beat in Nations League and played pretty well against, but obviously, it's 2 years later, it's a little different atmosphere.
First of all, I think it's important that we didn't lose these games. It's a good point on the road. These games, like everybody knows, are very difficult. Like I said, we had a lot of players that played these kind of games the first time, and they have to get used to it. And I think even though we didn't score a goal, we had a good match.
Next will be Charles Bone from MLSsoccer.com.
Hi, John. Thanks for speaking today. I wanted to ask you about the ability to change formations and change your shape as a team. I'm sure that's a useful option, but I know there's also maybe risk of disrupting the understanding you have and the relationships between players. So I wonder, what's your view on that matter, and would you anticipate maybe shifting your shape to adapt to what Canada does well?
In my opinion is that we have to focus on ourselves. So don't look that much to what Canada does. If they play 5 in the back, okay, then they play 5 in the back. If the coach tells us to play 5 in the back, we play 5 in the back. I think we have the ability to play a lot of formations. We have a lot of players that can play a lot of positions good. Yeah, so we'll see.
We'll take 2 more questions for John. First from Roberto Abramowitz.
Hi, John. How are you?
Hello.
For new fans of U.S. soccer, right, that have joined within the past 4 or 5 years and don't seem to be able to comprehend why a team full of European players and some of the best teams in Europe goes and struggles in a place like El Salvador in CONCACAF competition. Can you explain from your perspective, obviously, why that is, why it's so difficult to play and get points in Central America?
I think I answer this question every time. But these kind of games are, how to say good, for El Salvador or Honduras, I don't know, is maybe the biggest game of the year for the national team. And so they will give everything they have, and they're going to make it as hard as possible for us. And yeah, what should I say, is every game on the road is hard, even going to El Salvador. Every game is hard, like I said. I don't know what to say.
Last question for John comes from Stam Stechkel.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you, John, for taking the time for doing this. Hope you're doing well. I'm just curious, you played in November 2019 against Canada in the Nations League. It was kind of a difficult time for the team. They just lost to Canada and lost to Mexico in a friendly in the month before, and there were a lot of questions. What do you remember from that game, and do you look at it as kind of a turning point for this team, for this young team, and for a head coach who at the time wasn't even a year into the job?
What I remember was was a good game from us. We played as a team. I think we did everything what the coach said, what leads us to win the game. And what was the score again? 4-1? Yeah, that's all I have to say.
With that, we will thank John, and we'll be right back with Gregg Berhalter. We are now joined by the head coach of the U.S. men's national team, Gregg Berhalter. We will begin with questions and start with Doug McIntyre from Fox.
Thanks, Michael. Hi, Gregg.
Hey, Doug.
You mentioned the other night that you lacked a connection. There was too much individual play. How much of that is down to the lack of reps that you've had with your top group over the last couple of years, and how concerned are you against a Canada team that's basically, minus a couple players, unchanged from the Gold Cup and maybe doesn't have that problem? And as a second question, if I may, I know the result the other night doesn't change what you want to get out of the game tomorrow. How much does it up the urgency, though, knowing that you don't want to get less than 4 points from these first two games? Thank you.
So I think that our intention on Sunday is to win the game. That's what we want to do, and I don't think the result of Thursday night changes that at all. Our focus is on having a good game. Our focus is on winning this game. Home games and World Cup qualifying, you want to win. That goes without saying. In terms of the continuity and the connection, it was all. I think you don't want to make excuses because the environment is what it is. But I think some of the times when we talk about passing the ball, being able to get the ball on the ground and make crisp passes, we lacked that, and part of it was due to field conditions. It's just plain and simple. Talking to the guys, we're wondering why we're not making the passes here, and some of it was comfort with the field, with the surface, with the ball bouncing up or not, right? Not wanting to take unwarranted risks. Looking back on the game, and I mentioned that I would get back to you guys after watching it more thoroughly. The intention of us to win the game was there the entire match. When I'm watching it, when I'm replaying it, we were never really threatened. I never felt like we were going to lose the game. It was only a question of if we were going to win the game or not. And up until the last minute of the game, we had a header in the 91st minute, that was pretty close. We were trying, we were trying to score, and I really like that intention. Now, do things need to be improved? Absolutely. Were we executing the game plan? Not up to the level that we expect. And the last piece would be the connections that we have with each other. Was there a lot of passing to each other, a lot of combination play? We lacked that a little bit. So, we're preparing for a different game against Canada, obviously, and we're ready to go.
Next will be Brian Strauss from Sports Illustrated.
Hey, Gregg, back in two dimensions. I guess maybe following up a bit on what Doug said. These games are tight, and goals have been hard to come by in competitive matches throughout the summer, especially through open play. Is that the way you see this unfolding throughout the qualifying, or do you feel like there's another attack in gear that you think you guys can find, especially in the run of play, whether it's transition, whether it's through a build-up? Do you feel like there are goals due, or do you feel like there's an issue or a puzzle that you need to solve there? And is Pulisic part of that? What is his availability for tomorrow?
Yeah, he's definitely a quality player, and he definitely helps in that area for sure. No question about it. But looking back on the game, we had a 1.6 expected goals. So we were supposed to score in that game, and we didn't. I think we are creating chances. I would like even more chances, no question about it. And when you look across the board in CONCACAF qualifying, the games were tight. There wasn't a lot separating all the teams in these games. So we know that games are going to be difficult. We know that, especially when you go on the road, we should, expect the worst and still have the intention and the mindset to go out and win these games. So, we'll regroup for Sunday, but also moving forward to Wednesday, is another opportunity after Sunday for us to go on the road and have another experience.
Next will be Ron Blum from the Associated Press.
Hi, Greg. Could you go over the health and status of both Christian and Zach and any other injuries or knocks that are of concern going into tomorrow?
Yeah, so Christian is going to have another evaluation today. He's made some progress, and we have to see if it's enough to actually include him in the game day squad and play. And Zach is going to remain out for the game.
Next, we'll go to Paul Tenorio from The Athletic.
Thanks so much, Michael. Thanks, Greg. Greg, I wonder when you look at Alfonso Davies and what he does for Canada down that left side, obviously a lot of their play can run through him. How do you game plan trying to take somebody like Alfonso Davies out of the game? And, considering Serginho's performance the other night, do you look at playing him on the right side because he's a Barcelona player, because he plays, against that quality of player often in Champions League and stuff like that? Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's looking at a player's abilities and qualities and seeing if he could, match up with a certain player. Regarding Alfonso Davies, I think he's an outstanding player. Really dynamic fullback, winger. Had a great couple seasons at Bayern Munich. Won everything there is to win. It's been a pleasure watching him develop over these last years, coming from MLS and now playing for Bayern Munich. I've said it before. I like Canada's group. I think they have a lot of good players. It's been fun watching them develop over these last years through MLS and now with the national team. And we know it's going to be a difficult game. But for us, it's about, playing our game, understanding we're at home, and being aggressive, embracing the battle of the game. And I think we'll be fine.
Next, we'll go to Grant Wall.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Greg, for doing this. How do you think Matt Turner did in goal against El Salvador? Will he start again tomorrow? And I know you're a data guy. What stands out to you about Matt Turner in terms of the data you've seen about him?
I think Matt performed really well in the game. I was most impressed, I think, with his calmness. It wasn't an easy environment, but he really made everything look easy. I think there might have been one play in the first half where the ball got away from him, went out for a corner kick. Other than that, I think he was flawless. Caught the balls, came out on crosses, distribution was good. So for me, it was a good performance. In terms of data, when a guy's outperforming expected goals, when goalies outperforming expected goals, it's always something you like. And, Matt's been doing that all season long with New England Revolution. And, that means he can make the big save. And that's what you want in goalkeepers.
Next will be Stephen Goff from the Washington Post.
Hey, Greg, thanks for your time. Well, you could go into a little more detail about Christian, your conversations maybe a little bit about since you got back and what he's been going through the past couple of days while you guys were away.
Yeah, so we've been getting him up to speed with training. We're trying to see what he can tolerate, see what type of workloads he can do. And I think that's the first step, to be out for 10 days and have, some or have COVID isn't the easiest thing to get over. So for us, it's about really seeing how he can come back in a safe way. That's the most important thing. And when we've been having conversations, we've been asking him about how he's tolerating loads and everything, and we'll see if he's ready.
Next will be Jeff Carlisle from ESPN.
Thanks, Michael. Hi, Gregg.
Hey, Jeff.
Another guy who kind of got his baptism on Thursday was Conrad De La Fuente. What did you see out of him in that game? But also, what have you seen him just in the time that you've worked with him and what he offers the team?
I thought there were some good moments of the game, some good 1v1. The beginning of the second half, he had a play where he dribbled by 4 or 5 guys straight through the middle. He showed his explosiveness. He had a shot in the beginning of the second half that just went wide. Showed his comfort on the ball, showed, I think, enough tenacity defensively. I thought he had a good game. When you're talking about, I know that there's been, talk about a disappointing result in El Salvador, and I think that speaks to the expectations we have for ourselves, that we want to win those games. But when you talk about 12 players making the World Cup qualifying debut, when you think about the atmosphere and what type of game it meant for El Salvador, I think it's a result we can live with. And you were there, Jeff, and I know, some other reporters were there. So you got the ones that were there really understand what that environment was like.
Next, we'll go to Ryan Talmadge from Goal.com.
Hey, Gregg, you look at Canada and they're a team that is probably not happy with their first game, just like, in some ways you guys won't be. And they're a team that, like you guys, doesn't necessarily have that much experience in World Cup qualifying. They have guys who are still learning what this is all about. So how do you kind of expect them to approach this? Do you expect them to come out hot and excited? Do you expect them to be a little more cautious, being that it's on the road? Do you expect them to maybe be a little bit more naive? How do you kind of expect Canada to approach this game, given, they're kind of easing into World Cup qualifying themselves?
Yeah, well, it's a good point. We do have similar groups, and when you look at the experience level in World Cup qualifying, it's pretty equal. And I don't know exactly how they're going to approach the game. I do know that they're well coached. I know that they have a good squad, and I'm sure they'll be prepared. And now it's up to us to do the same, and for us to show the right mentality in the game, which we've been demonstrating for the last months. And now it's a home game. We get to play in front of our fans. These are the moments that we've been waiting for.
Next will be Ivis Galarcep.
Gregg, as far as the matchups on the wings, fullbacks and wingers for both sides, just some very intriguing matchups going both ways. How important are those battles going to be in determining the winner? And as far as Serginho Dest goes, as a coach, how do you manage dealing with a player who is obviously so creative and so talented, but you kind of want to try to rein that in at times, or how challenging is that, especially for a player who can be so good as we saw against Canada in the Nations League back in 2019?
Well, we want to give him freedom to be creative, as long as that fits within our game plan. That's what we want. He's an artist type of a player, has a really creative side to him, has an amazing amount of skill and technical ability, and we want to give him the ball and let him do good things. It's not often that you see fullbacks with that amount of talent. So it's up to us to get him involved and get him in ball in good positions where he could be decisive, because it's nice to be able to dribble by guys at midfield. But for me, it's really about the impact we're having in goals and assists. How are we getting the ball in front of goal? How are we scoring goals or making assists, even in the fullback position? And I agree. I think it's going to be the fullbacks have good matchups with their wingers, and it's going to be a good battle. Whether Alfonso Davies plays or Buchanan plays or whoever, they have some good wingers. It'll be a nice matchup for us.
We'll take 2 more for Gregg, and the first will come from Nico Contour from CBS.
Thanks, Michael. Hey, Gregg.
Hey, Nico.
Canada has done their vacant shift a lot. They play like a 4-man back line, then they go 3 in the back. For example, Richie Laryea was doing something that the inverted fullback thing, which I hadn't seen Canada do so often in the game against Honduras. For example, they were really about this complex type of soccer. So I know that your philosophy is like, you do you, and good things will come, but how do you prepare to know what to expect with this Canada team that can be so shifting and so unpredictable at times is what they can come out with?
Well, I think for us it's preparation. We showed that we can have adaptive defensive shapes. We showed that we can move around depending on how the opponent's playing. So for us, it's just about having a structure and being able to adapt that structure based on what we're seeing on the field. I think it's something we've been working on. It's something we've been reasonably comfortable with. We've had a good defensive record with it. So for us, we still want to do what we can do, and that's be attacking, be aggressive, getting forward, controlling the ball, moving the ball from side to side. That's still going to be important factors of our game.
Last question comes from Jonathan Tanwal from the Philly Inquirer.
Thank you, Michael, and thanks, Greg, again, for the time. We've all talked a lot about Alfonso Davies today. I wonder what other players on this Canada team catch your eye that you're focusing on.
Jonathan David's an excellent player. Kyle Laren's an excellent player. Jonathan Osorio's a very good player. Mark Anthony Kaye. Estacchio's a good player. Buchanan's been doing a really good job. In the back, they have good players. It's a good, solid roster. I've said this time and time again. I really like the roster. When we lost to them in October of 2019, I said that it was a team that's on the rise. And, I think they're one of the most improved teams in CONCACAF. Good young player pool, similar to ours. And the game's going to be tight. We played them last month in the Gold Cup, and, we talked about it being a tight game, and it was. And, it will be a tight game tomorrow as well.
Thanks to our participants and all those on the official U.S. Soccer app. USA Canada, presented by Volkswagen, September 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, live on FS1, Une Mas, and Tudeare. Thanks, and have a good day. Yes, sir.